Respected, listen to me closely for the next few seconds, because this isn't about fear or blame, it's about self-respect, survival of the heart, and the moment you finally stop betraying yourself just to keep someone else comfortable. If she does this, you don't argue, you don't explain, you don't wait for clarity. You run, not because you're weak, but because you're finally awake. I want to start this the way real conversations start, not polished, not perfect, but honest. Because most of us don't fall into emotional traps overnight. We slide into them slowly, telling ourselves stories that sound like love, but feel like exhaustion. And if you're watching this, part of you already knows something is off. You just need permission to trust that feeling. There's this lie we're taught early on, especially if you're someone who loves deeply, you see. One of the most dangerous things she can do is make you doubt your own reality, but she won't do it loudly. She won't scream or accuse at first. She'll smile. She'll say you're overthinking. She'll say you're too sensitive. And every time you bring up something that hurt you, she'll flip it so smoothly that you walk away apologizing for a wound you didn't create. This isn't love. This is erosion. Brick by brick, your confidence starts disappearing, and you don't even notice it happening because you're too busy trying to keep the peace. I've seen people lose years of their lives like this. Strong men, smart men, men who once knew exactly who they were. And the scariest part is not that she does it, but that you begin to help her do it. You start questioning your instincts. You stop trusting your gut. You tell yourself maybe this is what relationships are supposed to feel like. Heavy, confusing. Lonely even when you're not alone. Another sign that should make you walk away immediately is when accountability becomes impossible. When everything is always someone else's fault. Her past, her ex, her childhood, her stress, her mood. There is always a reason, always an explanation, but never responsibility. And you, because you care, become the understanding one, the patient one, the one who keeps giving chances. But here's the truth no one tells you loudly enough: empathy without boundaries is self-destruction. There's a moment that happens quietly in these situations. A moment where you realize you're no longer growing. You're shrinking. You're editing your words before you speak. You're monitoring your tone. You're choosing silence over honesty because honesty causes drama. And that's when you need to stop and ask yourself a hard question. When did love start feeling like walking on glass? Another hidden sign is inconsistency. One day you're her everything. The next day you're an inconvenience. Affection becomes a reward instead of a constant. Attention is given and withdrawn like a lever, teaching you to behave a certain way just to feel close again. This is not passion. This is control disguised as chemistry. And the reason it works is because it hooks into your hope. Hope that the good version of her will come back if you just try harder. But let me say this clearly, and I want you to really hear it. If someone only treats you well when it benefits them, they are not revealing love, they are revealing strategy. Love is consistent. Love doesn't punish. Love doesn't disappear to teach lessons. There's also the sign no one wants to talk about because it hurts the ego. When she disrespects you in subtle ways and laughs it off, jokes at your expense, dismissive comments, comparing you to others even casually, and when you react, she calls you insecure. But respect is not negotiable. The moment someone enjoys making you feel smaller, they've already crossed a line that apologies can't erase. What makes this so hard is that none of these signs show up alone. They come wrapped in affection, in chemistry, in moments that feel intense and unforgettable. That's why people stay. That's why people doubt themselves. Because the highs feel real. But real love doesn't require you to suffer to earn it. If any part of this feels familiar, I don't want you to feel ashamed. Awareness is not weakness, it's power. And power begins the moment you stop asking, how do I fix this? And start asking, why am I tolerating this? There's another sign that cuts deeper than most because it doesn't look toxic at first. It looks like independence. She keeps secrets that don't need to be secrets. Not privacy, not healthy space, but emotional lockdown. You feel her pulling away, but when you ask what's wrong, she gives you half answers, vague words, or silence dressed up as mystery. And slowly, you start feeling like an outsider in your own relationship. Love should feel like partnership, not like you're constantly trying to earn access to someone who chose to be with you. Then there's the way she reacts when you succeed, when you grow, when you step into your power. Watch closely. Does she celebrate you, or does she compete with you? Does she support your goals or subtly minimize them? Some people don't want a partner, they want an audience. And the moment you stop revolving around her, the energy changes. Suddenly you're too busy, suddenly you've changed. But what she really means is you're no longer controllable. One of the most revealing signs is how she handles your boundaries. When you finally say no, when you finally speak up, when you finally choose yourself. A healthy person may not always like your boundaries, but they will respect them. A dangerous one will punish you for having them, with distance, with guilt, with coldness. And that's when you realize the affection you received before was conditional. You were loved as long as you were convenient. This is where many people break, because you start thinking, maybe if I just go back to how I was, things will be good again. But listen carefully. Any relationship that requires you to abandon your self-respect to maintain peace is already broken. You don't heal that by shrinking. You heal it by leaving. There's also the emotional double standard. She expects patience when she's hurting, understanding when she lashes out, loyalty when she's unsure. But when you struggle, when you're tired, when you need reassurance, suddenly you're asking for too much. This imbalance drains you quietly. You become the strong one all the time. And strength without support eventually turns into resentment. I want to pause here and speak directly to you, not as a narrator, but as someone who understands how hard this is. Walking away doesn't mean you didn't love deeply. It means you loved wisely enough to stop bleeding for someone who wouldn't bandage the wound. Leaving is not failure. Staying and losing yourself is. The truth is, some people enter your life not to stay, but to reveal the parts of you that still need healing. And once you see the pattern clearly, you can't unsee it. That's when the pain changes shape. It stops being confusion and becomes clarity. And clarity, even when it hurts, is freedom. If you've recognized these signs, don't rush yourself. Strength isn't dramatic. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's a decision you make alone, late at night, when you finally admit that love shouldn't feel like survival. There's one final sign, and it's the one people ignore the longest, because it feels personal, like an attack on your worth. It's when you're the only one doing the emotional work. You're the one initiating conversations, repairing conflicts, checking in, making sure everything is okay. You carry the weight of the connection while she enjoys the benefits of it. And when you're exhausted, when you finally slow down, everything starts falling apart. That's when you realize the relationship wasn't balanced, it was being propped up by your effort alone. This is where the truth gets uncomfortable. If you stop trying, would she step up or would she disappear? Love doesn't vanish when effort pauses. Only dependency does. Only manipulation does. Only convenience does. Somewhere along the way, you probably told yourself a story that if you just loved harder, understood more, stayed calmer, she would change. But love is not a rehabilitation center, and you are not responsible for fixing someone who refuses to look at themselves honestly. The hardest lesson is understanding that potential is not reality. And loving who someone could be will keep you stuck with who they are. I want you to think about how you feel after interacting with her. Not the highs, not the rare good moments, but the overall pattern. Do you feel grounded, respected, energized? Or do you feel anxious, confused, emotionally tired? Your body knows before your mind admits it. Peace is not boring. Peace is clarity without chaos. There's a quiet dignity in choosing yourself. No announcements. No revenge. No explanations that fall on deaf ears. Just a clean decision to stop participating in something that's costing you your identity. Walking away doesn't mean she was evil. It means the dynamic was unhealthy. And you don't need a villain to justify leaving. Discomfort is reason enough. You don't heal by waiting for closure from someone who benefited from your confusion. You heal by closing the door yourself. By forgiving what you didn't know before you knew it. By promising yourself that next time, you'll listen sooner when something feels wrong. Here's what I want you to carry with you after this. Love should not make you feel small. It should not require constant endurance. It should not feel like a test you're always failing. The right connection will feel steady, not dramatic. Safe, not addictive. Supportive, not conditional. If she does these things, you don't stay to prove your loyalty. You leave to prove your self-respect. And the moment you choose yourself, everything begins to realign. Your confidence returns. Your energy comes back. Your standards rise. And suddenly, you're no longer afraid of losing someone who was slowly teaching you to lose yourself.